Commission. We are facilitating the process of updating the Muskegon area-wide plan. There we go. What is the Muskegon area-wide plan? First of all, by a show of hands, who in this room was involved in the first development of the Muskegon area-wide plan, which started in 2002 and was completed in 2005? Great, we have a whole bunch of new people. Wonderful. Anybody know what the map is? Yeah. Yes.
It's the vision for development and growth of the area.
Perfect. Yep. It is. And we have the mission right here is to involve citizens in creating a shared vision for the future of Muskegon County. It encompasses, it's a very large umbrella which encompasses a lot of different areas. And we are now, well, does anybody want to tell me what was the map supposed to accomplish when it was created back in 2005? Anybody? Mr. Fisher.
Uniformity amongst the local units and shared vision.
A uniformity.
That was to try and accomplish, but I think it was more along the lines of trying to get all of our planning officials, township boards, and city commissions, all looking at the real need for why we have to have this master plan.
Great. Yep. And why are we updating the master plan? Or the vision? Anybody want to?
Well, they're not following it for one thing.
That's,
And the world changes.
and exactly. Thank you, Ken. The world has changed considerably since 2005. Our, not only within the jurisdictions of Muskegon County, the state, the nation, and the world has changed considerably. When we first developed the map in the early 2000s, the big driver was urban sprawl. We were growing faster than our development could, than our infrastructure and our local governments could handle, really. And it was becoming very expensive. So a lot of communities, 3 communities in particular, townships, got together. They were in the process of updating their existing master plans. And they wanted to work together because they realized that they had a lot of issues that crossed jurisdictional boundaries. School districts, water lines, sewer lines, roads. Their citizens didn't only live there, they didn't work necessarily within their community. They traveled to a different community to work, for their kids to go to school, to do their shopping, to get their health care. So they in a very short conversation, realized that they needed to plan more regionally and ask themselves, where do we draw the border of this regional planning? And at that point, they decided they really needed to encompass the entire county. And we, as a regional planning agency, they came to WMSRDC and asked us to help facilitate that process. So we started, that was back in 1999. And it took us 2.5 years until 2002 to get everybody organized and on board. We had a very large steering committee. We had 23 of the 27 local units of government, 28 if you include the county, on a steering committee that helped drive this process. Everybody had an equal vote. Every local jurisdiction had an equal vote. So it was a very grassroots effort. We had over 1,000 people participate in the process of updating the master plan. And when we were completed in 2005, we had this grassroots vision that a lot of the local units of government were working, that they had a part in, and a lot of citizens had a part in. Next, who is WMSRDC? Who is the West Michigan Shoreline Regional Development Commission? This kind of explains who we are a little bit. We were created in 1970, so we've been around a little while. We are a federal and state designated planning agency. We are really a region without borders. We have run several different programs. Any transportation project within our Muskegon metro area and northern Ottawa County that receives federal funding goes through a process that we administer. We're a designated economic development district. which means we do regional economic development planning for 5 counties, including Lake, Mason, Muskegon, Newaygo, and Oceana counties. We also do water quality planning. Those of you who are familiar with habitat restoration work that's going on in Muskegon Lake, Kathy Evans in our office has been working very hard on that effort. We are also the fiduciary for Homeland Security for a 13-county regional planning, state planning district. So we wear many hats, and we do a lot of different things. Now, I'm going to ask you to use the clickers. We only have 50 clickers, so I apologize. If anybody's willing to give up their clicker, that would be fine. We have some fun activities here. Yes, and I want to say, first of all, thank you to... We have some extras if somebody doesn't have one up here, Amy.
It's real-time audience response. Real-time
This
audience
is to gather
response.
public input. This helps us. This is electronic voting.
I'll take. Thank you very
So
much.
you guys can vote on your opinion on some things that we throw up here. It'll record it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for the call. Oh, you're making me dig way back in my brain, Greg. First of all, I wanna give special thanks to Muskegon Community College. They donated these electronic voting equipment for us to use. We're very excited. We used these, a different version of these when we did the first round of the MAP, and it was very expensive. We had to get sponsors to help pay for them. MCC was very gracious in donating this to us. And what it does is you can click a button. You're only allowed to click the button once. The software will only allow you to do it once. You can push it as many times as you want, but it only records once. And it will go into, we have a receiver in our computer. It recognizes your vote. It's anonymous. We can't trace it back because we don't know who has what clicker. So it is anonymous, and we can show the results instantaneously on how people are voting and how they're feeling. So, and we can also, as we get going in the process, do some impromptu questions. So if we have a hot topic that people have some very strong opinions on, we can throw a question up with some answers and have you vote on those questions. So we'll get going on that just to get you familiar with the voting equipment. We're going to have a couple of questions here. First of all, what do you like most about Muskegon County? Can everybody read that? And we have up there the responses. We can see how many people have voted. So if you're holding out, you're going to hold us up.
Has anyone voted yet?
Yes, I did.
Uh-oh.
Should we vote like now? I don't see the city commission up there.
Where do you
No,
see the
all
vote?
you have to do is hit your button. So we're having a little software issue. We'll get it worked out here. It worked in the office yesterday.
Okay.
We had some fun.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Numbers going up. Okay, we have 33.
We're not rushing it.
Take your time. And 11 more to vote.
Very scientific.
Not everybody choose, some might choose not to vote.
Oh, if you're not, okay.
No, I don't have.
No, that's fine.
Do you have?
Oh, you don't have a clicker? No, we're all out of clickers, I'm sorry.
Pass them over to that table, they're more important.
Yay, the radical voices.
Okay. We have 40, we'll move on from there.
Get to see the.
There's the results right there. 28% said everything, 25% said the beaches, and 23% said the water. So
So 50%.
50% water. This is very, very similar to what we had last go around, with everybody really embracing the water in our shoreline. So next question. In what year was Muskegon County incorporated? A little trivia for you. Make you use your math. I know, Nancy.
I just said she wasn't sure.
Oh, we've got 44. I had to add some humor.
Has it really been in it? Yeah.
Okay, has everybody had a chance? 48, oh, there's two more. 49, one more, 50. There we go.
What?
1859, correct. Oh, where's the smiley face? Oh, there we go. Okay, we in 2009, Muskegon County celebrated their 150th anniversary. Anybody know what that anniversary is called? Sesquicentennial. Okay, good. Next, how many planning and zoning jurisdictions are there in Muskegon County?
E is correct.
Yeah.
That you pick whichever one you want. Two more. One more.
Who's holding out?
Somebody's holding out. All right, we're gonna move on. 27. We have 16 townships, 7 cities, and 4 villages, and then 28 if you add the county. But the county does not have zoning jurisdiction. So, but 35% of you think it's too many. Okay. How many square miles are there in Muskegon County?
We didn't know we were going to be tested.
It's fun. It's fun. I think this is the last one. I've got a good question. 48. Anybody else wanna? Going once, twice, and what?
It's up to 50.
They gave it up.
They squeezed it in. Good job. 500.
Oh my gosh.
Square miles. Okay, and I have a frisbee for whoever can tell me how many acres that is. What? You're off by.
Oh, you want water too?
I don't know.
About 30,000, 353,000.
My records. Greg is the winner. I have a very bad throwing arm, so I apologize. It is 300, according to my calculations, 300, just under 326,000 acres in Muskegon County.
Check this out.
The original map document says 320, just under 326. All right, history of the map. We'll get back to the clickers in a second, in a few minutes. You can put those down. I went through this a little bit. We, like I said, we started in '99, and at that point, Muskegon County was the only county from Traverse City down to the Indiana border that didn't have an active countywide plan. So that was another reason that we really needed to start working together as a county and come up with this shared vision. We embraced the smart growth principles, which I'll point out here in a minute. We identified 5 major vision areas. They include land use and growth, economy and jobs, natural resources, open space and environment, infrastructure, and quality of life. And if you've noticed, each one of the forums that we're having 5, and each one is focusing on each one of those vision areas. Like I said, we had over 1,000 people participate in the process. It was completed in 2005, and implementation began immediately with activities that were going on, and now we are in the process of updating that because there has been a lot of changes. These are the principles of smart growth. I'll let you read them. I will not read them to you. But one thing that we need to point out is that not every jurisdiction in Muskegon County can meet all of these smart growth principles. So what we need to do with the jurisdictions that we have and the community that we have is identify which principles can those jurisdictions accomplish and how can they fit in the piece of their puzzle piece into the larger piece of the county, because the county as a whole can address these smart growth principles. And let me take a step back and explain to you where these principles came from. The Smart Growth Network, it's a national organization. They went around to the top 10 functioning communities in the country and identified what 10 attributes they had in common. And these were the top 10 that they had. So communities across the country are trying to meet these top 10 criteria to have a better community, functioning community. So that's where the Smart Growth principles came from. In the process of the first round of the map, we identified a smart growth scenario. We had 3 scenarios that we looked at. One was business as usual, basically developing how we've always developed over the past 200 years, 150 years. And when we looked at that, we really didn't like it, because instead of using the assets that we have and building upon the inner cities and where we have infrastructure where it can be cost effective, we were building out. And it was eating up some of our natural resources. It was very expensive for infrastructure for these communities to maintain. And so this is the second was the zoning build out, which basically identified how much each jurisdiction has to, if we were to develop for the allowable amount in each of the zoning for each of the communities, I know I'm not saying that very well, I'm sorry, what would we look like? If everybody were to develop the way the zoning ordinance is allowed, we would have a population the size of Indianapolis in Muskegon County. And nobody really likes that either, because that would eat up a whole bunch of our natural resources and our forest land. Yes, Dave?
Just one comment, this might be a good time. Just a couple of minutes on the
Sure, I can explain. Does anybody not understand the difference between a zoning map and a future land use map or a master plan? A zoning map is a snapshot of a community today. Basically, what is allowed in each of the zones, for example, for residential, industrial, commercial development. And that is more of a legal document, the zoning ordinance. A master plan with its future land use map is a vision of where the community wants to go. The two can be similar, but don't have to be. So in the zoning, if a developer comes to a planning commission and wants to develop in a certain area, the zoning map doesn't allow for that, and they request a change. If that change is not consistent with the master plan and the vision and the future land use map, the community can deny that.
Oh, we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're trying.
You can.
Can you give an example of an area that wasn't developed because of a change to the master plan?
Yeah, did they ever not develop something because it wasn't in the master plan? Was it-
Yes. One example is Owassapee. when the developer came in and wanted to buy up the Boy Scout camp and develop that whole residential development, and I'll talk about this at the land use and growth, or the environmental forum, the community said, no, we don't want that. And their master plan was consistent with that. They used 3 documents in the lawsuit and in court. One was their master plan, one was this document, the Muskegon area-wide plan, because it doesn't show development happening there. And also, as a result of one of the outcomes of the Muskegon area-wide plan, came the North Central Muskegon County Joint Planning Commission, which is made up of 5 townships, including Blue Lake, and they have a vision for those townships. That document was also used in court, and they won, and they stopped them. So that's an example. They had to go to court, and it cost a lot of money and a lot of appeals, and as you all know, it took forever, but they had their day and they won. So that's an example. So this map basically shows where, back in the early 2000s, Muskegon County wanted to encourage development to happen. Smart growth is very important. Smart growth isn't no growth. Smart growth is developing in a way that makes sense and that is cost effective. So the purpose was not to stop growth from happening, but to direct it in areas where it made sense to happen. Redeveloping our inner cities, directing that development there. If we had to extend water and sewer, make it as close as possible to where that exists already. So that's what this was trying to do. These are the smart growth visions. Like we said tonight, we're going to talk about land use, community design, things that you see and want to happen in Muskegon County over the next 20 years. And then each of the 5 vision areas, each of those, the upcoming community forums will be focusing on those different areas. So if I know a lot of you are coming to all 5, and I think that's great. If you could let me know, that would be wonderful, because I can plan. I can't have any more clickers, all we have is 50, but I can have more handouts and stuff for the table, so let me know.
That's naughty.
Okay, we're gonna use the clickers. Oh no, not the clickers yet. This is, I'm gonna demonstrate or show here some of the things that have changed in Muskegon County since 2005. And I had a lot of fun putting this together. It's very visual, there's a ton of pictures in here, and I hope you enjoy what you're gonna see, but a lot has changed in Muskegon County over the last 5 years. Does that look familiar? 2005, Western Avenue. So we have come a long way in our downtown. Is there more to go? Absolutely, there's a lot more to go. But a lot has changed. Here's some of the outside of the 23-acre mall, former mall property, and Josh highlighted some of these areas. We have the Harley Davidson was not down there. The upper picture, here I got my little. This is from 2005, and this is from 2011. You can see the Harley Davidson and the fire station was not there. The PNC Bank was under construction at the time, if not, I think it was still empty. Parmenter O'Toole and the Vita Nova condos there. The LST was not there. The Artworks building and or housing, and I'm not sure what's the other retirement.
Renaissance place.
The Renaissance place. Thank you.
Monet Gardens,
And Monet Gardens is there.
clay wall for the Mishcon site.
Yep, and yeah, so there's a lot that has happened, and it's not just in downtown Muskegon too. A lot has happened across the county as well. So these are just some of the things that we. Does anybody have anything else that's changed downtown that we missed?
You got the fire department.
Yep, fire station.
Culinary school.
Wow.
Big. Well, that's all within in here. Well, yeah, it's over there.
It's about 120 million in the list since 2002 in investment.
Did everybody hear that? It's been 122
120 million in investment since
in
2002.
downtown. $120 million worth of investment in downtown Muskegon since 2002.
United Way campus.
Yes, United Way. It's just right off the side there. and Social Security isn't even on here, because this is from 2011, so the Social Security office is on there as well. That's happened. And I remember in the first development of the map, those of you who were involved, we talked an awful lot about when Sappy closes. And we had a lot of people also say, oh, it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. But some people saw the signs back in the early 2000s. What are we gonna do? We need to start talking and planning about what's gonna happen if Sappy, that's half the wastewater flow, that's all of those jobs, that's 1 mile of Muskegon Lake waterfront. What's gonna happen there? So,
Scrapyard.
Yeah.
yeah. So we've got that issue we're dealing with now, and on top of that, we got another one coming down the road with the Cobb plant. And now is the time to start planning on what we're gonna do when that happens. And I know Consumers Energy is working on a plan of what's gonna happen with that property. So, and that's going through Muskegon area first, I believe.
So who's orchestrating the redevelopment? You said we're dealing with it? Like,
Well, we as a county is what I meant. We as a county, I'm not, Windsor Dick is not involved in anything that's going on with the redevelopment. But we as a county have to be, thank you, get involved. That's why we're here.
Right, yeah, we're hoping
So-
to do.
This is up in the White Lake area. This is the Tannery Bay. This is a historic picture right here. This is what it looked like in 2003 when they started cleaning out the sediment. 83,000 cubic yards of contaminated sediment were removed. This is when the towers came down, or the tower came down. And this is proposed redevelopment for the future. Yes?
How does the size of that compare to the Sappy side?
That I have no idea. Kathy, do you know?
Less than 10%? Okay.
Less than
No,
10%?
it's not less than 10%.
This is 23 acres,
119.
It's like 23.
and Sappy, is 23 acres, Sappy is about 120, 119, 120
They
acres.
both built on Bill.
What was that?
Were they both built on Bill landfill? Are they essentially landfills?
I know Sappy is, I don't know about Tannery Bay.
The original structures, I think, were on land, but everything in front of anything in front of the railroad is filled.
Is it? Okay.
And that's, I think, people like,
Okay.
they put a railroad.
Geez, I'm glad you're here, Greg. You answered a lot of questions for me. This is the mall property, Harvey and Sternberg. This is back in '99 when the mall was being built. And this had a lot to do, well, pretty much everything to do with the downtown mall closing. So, there's our urban sprawl that we were dealing with. This is, some of the things that spurred the first go-around of the map. And this is 2005, and this is 2011. We didn't have Myers there, or Target, and plus there's a lot of development happening down here. The racetrack is gone. We don't have that on here, that's up here. But, yeah, there's a lot that, all the little, storefronts that are there, on there, strip malls that are on there as well. So, a lot has happened out that way. Accomplishments of the map. Like I said, implementation started immediately in 2005 when it was unveiled. We were very excited that we had 23 of the 28, including the county, local units of government pass resolutions endorsing the map, and also agreeing to incorporate the map into their existing master plans to, once they did update that. And I know a lot of communities have. I know any master plans that we work on, we absolutely make sure it's in there. But, so that's, and that is one of the ways, because the map does not have any jurisdictional authority to do anything. It's a vision, it's a countywide vision. But what gives it some weight and some authority is when the local units of government incorporate that into their master plan, and that adds some weight to the document and the vision and helps with the implementation of that. but a lot of things have happened that we have been involved in. It's a lot of planning efforts. We're a planning agency, so you can see a lot of the planning efforts that have happened. But at the same time, a lot of things have happened throughout the county that we don't have our hands in. For example, the 1 in 21 effort. That we're involved in it a little bit now, and they're helping us in updating the map and in getting the word out to get people here. And they're using the document to help them accomplish what they're doing. But so that's one thing. The United Way, all of the wonderful work that United Way does. I don't believe 211 was around. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening that fall or that are implementing the map. Any community garden that goes in, a neighborhood association puts in a rain garden, that is implementing the map because it's creating a sense of place for that neighborhood. And it's wonderful for all of those things to happen. We don't always know about it, but at the same time, it's still implementing the map. And what we want to do with this update is make it as widely known as possible throughout the community so that these organizations that are in the trenches doing such wonderful work can use this document to help them. We need their input so we can get their visions and what they want to do on paper and get some weight to it, and then so they can use it to then further do what they want to do.
So are all those documents available like on your website?
Oh yeah, almost all of them are available on our website, and if it's not, give me a call and I'll make sure.
And were there local governments who did not pass resolutions?
There were, I think 4 or 5 that did not, but they didn't participate really at all in the process. And I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I do remember some of them, but I don't really want to call them out.
Wasn't the city of Muskegon one?
Yeah, city.
No, City of Muskegon was very involved and has been involved and is still involved in the map. So yes, the City of Muskegon. They're more outlying communities. Any questions on any of these accomplishments? But there are many, many more within the community that
What's
we
the
are not.
farmland reservation program?
That is,
Should that be preservation?
it should be preservation. Do I have a type? Where is that? Reservation.
Good eyes.
Put us all on farm.
Yeah. I'll make sure I have that corrected. Thank you for pointing that out. Farmland preservation program was going on pretty much simultaneously with the development of the map. There was an effort in the community to permanently preserve and protect a certain amount of acres of farmland, and there was a program, a statewide program, and Kathy and Greg were very involved in that. And they were developing the document and the criteria of the land and the farms, and to put that into permanent conservation. But in order to do that, the county had to have a countywide master plan. So the map fulfilled that criteria. And that program is up and running. I don't know how far along it is. I know.
Makes individuals eligible under the USDA
Yes.
program.
It's, yep.
Which has not been funded since fall.
I know.
Kent County has way more active, they've got private donors as well, and they actually have a county, I think, village.
Okay, okay. And what it does is a farmer can apply for the program to preserve their farm. They can still actively farm it, and they can sell it in the future, but it has to stay in farming, in a productive farm. It's a conservation easement, basically, that stays from property owner to property owner, but it has to remain as a farm. So they can't break it up and make it a subdivision. Any other questions on any of these? Yes, Bob.
What's the coordinated planning NCMC?
That is the North Central Muskegon County Joint Planning Commission, and that's the one I mentioned a few minutes ago. That is the townships of Blue Lake, Fruitland, Dalton, Laketon, and Muskegon Township north of the river. Those communities with amongst all the jurisdictions to have some consistency. They are still working together. Kim Arter is a member on that. we haven't met all summer, but we do have some things that we will be working on, some stormwater management things that we're going to be looking at. I don't know if you know that yet, Kim, but now you do. That is, and there is a vision, a plan for that. We have a future land use map developed for that area. That's what that is. We have a lot of acronyms too, so if I say something, an acronym, I try not to, but if I do, say, what the heck is that? Aaron, what are you talking about? What?
Nick of Jitchpick.
I like that.
It's almost as bad as.
All right. So when we were coming to the end of developing the Muskegon area-wide plan, we asked ourselves, we had these 5 vision areas. We identified the goal, which I'll let you read right there. But we wanted to know, what should we do with these? How do we accomplish this? And so we asked ourselves 3, and this is the MAP implementation, or the MAP steering committee that we had. We asked ourselves 3 questions. What should be done to accomplish this goal? Who should be doing it? And what time frame? When should it be done? Is it ongoing? What should we do? So we asked these questions, and these are the answers we came up with for land use and growth. We have a set of these for each one of the 5 visions, and I'll talk a little bit about each and what's happened with that. Did we do it? Did we not do anything? Did we try? Did it fail? Was it successful? We have adopting the principles. And like I mentioned, we had 23 local governments pass resolutions supporting the MAP, the smart growth principles, and agreeing to incorporate those into their master plans once they updated their master plans. So that was, we felt, was very successful. Planning commission meetings. Whenever there is a 5th Wednesday of the month, we hold a county-wide planning commission meeting. It's more of an informational meeting. We invite, it's really open to the public, so if you want to get on my email distribution list, let me know. I have business cards up front. I'd be happy to have anybody and everybody attend those meetings. They're at 3 o'clock, 7th floor of the Terrace Plaza building whenever there's a 5th Wednesday of the month. The next one coming up, though, is on Halloween, so we're not going to have that one. And we basically bring in a speaker or have somebody talk about a hot topic that's happening in Muskegon County. So we do hold those. We've been holding those since the summer of 2006. Coordinated planning are like the planning commission, the countywide planning commission meetings help that. There's networking going on there. Like I said, the North Central Muskegon County Joint Planning Commission is a very good example of coordinated planning. Educational seminars, we said that and encouraging communication, they all kind of fall under those countywide planning commission meetings that we have. So we kind of say that we're hitting all of them in that realm. Model ordinances, this was a tough one. Each of the 27 units of government has their own zoning ordinance, their own master plan. To come up with model ordinances is very, very difficult for them to use and to tweak for their communities. One, that we don't have the zoning expertise at the regional commission to do that, and there was no money to hire a consultant to do that. So we were not able to do that. Through the North Central Muskegon County Joint Planning Commission, I'm just going to call it JPC. So once I say JPC, that's what I'm referring to. We, over the past year, we coordinated all of their zoning definitions. That was very challenging for me. Like I said, I'm not a zoning person. I'm more of a planner. I take an overall umbrella look. Zoning is very microscopic, black or white. This is how we do it. So it was very difficult for me because I'm not a black or white kind of person. I'm a planner, visionary. Anyways, we have that document, and it took us a year to really put it together, go through it, and it's all 5 townships and their zoning definitions. It is 83 pages, 11 by 17, back or front and back. So that's five communities, definitions only.
Is that the tax code
No. No. So to do that for 28 jurisdictions it's very challenging, so we weren't able to do that. But that's something we can maybe keep and try in the future. Planning law reform. I'd like to say that we had a hand in it, but we really didn't. But there was a planning law reform, PA 33 in 2008 that came out. And one of the, it encompassed a lot of things, but one of the main things that we liked about that is it encouraged the community 63 days to review the draft plan and to comment on that before they adopt it. They're required by law. And that's something that we felt really met what we had said we wanted to do in this. And then the ambassador program, we did have quite a few people. Was anybody an ambassador? I know Kathy, Greg, you were. I don't know if you remember that. Dave, you might have been too. Agreed to do that, but as you know, everybody has a job and gets busy, and it just kind of fell to the wayside. It was very hard to maintain that. So, time for the pictures again. This is where we're getting into more of the opinion, so you can tell me how you feel about certain subjects. You ready? Alrighty. First, some demographic stuff. We're able to cross-reference so we can figure out how many people that live in a township feel this way, or in a city and they feel that way. So we're going to get some of these out of the way. I should have put, I don't know where I live. Not sure. And sometimes it's confusing to know where you live because you have, I know in like southern Norton Shores, you have a Spring Lake address. You pay your taxes to Norton Shores, but you have it different. You have a Fruitport, or Grand Haven School. It's Grand Haven School District, and then you have a Heights zip code. So it's kind of confusing there. One more. Going once, twice. Okay. 59% from the city. Cities, I should say, that live in a city. Great. Next one. What is your age group? I know. I'm moving up, so I don't like it either.
Stand still.
Yeah. Okay, going once, twice. We do have somebody under 19, but he doesn't have a clicker. All right. What is your occupation? You can put other if you're more than one. Or just whatever you want to be today. Or what capacity are you here in today? What's that? All right, going once, twice. Here we go. Ooh, a lot of others. What are we missing that we should add?
Human services.
Human services, okay.
Healthcare.
Can we make note of that? Healthcare? Can we just put healthcare?
No.
No. Farming. Unemployed, that's a good one. Okay. Yeah. Somebody making notes from staff that should do that. Mental notes, thank you. Okay. Okay, here we go. We're going to get fun now. Typically, development decisions in Muskegon County are well thought out and make sense for the community, are predictable, fair, and cost effective, are hit and miss, or are haphazard, unpredictable, and make no sense at all. Going once, twice? What? Oh, stop gabbing, right?
Come on, click it.
I'll work with the mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there we go. 3, not too bad. Well, I thought we'd get a lot with number 4.
They know what the 88% are saying.
Yeah, 88% are saying it sucks.
Yeah, not so good. Okay. All right. Next one. Development and land use in Muskegon County should be regulated by local governments. After all, Michigan is a home rule state. Does everybody understand what home rule means? No. Home rule means that each jurisdiction has their own zoning and land use authority. I think there are only, and Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, about 8 states in the country that have townships. And they're mostly within the Midwest and Northeast. But you get down to Arizona, over to Arizona, and many states don't have townships. It's cities or
Oh, yeah.
counties.
Well, how does that stand in this consolidation push within the county?
With what?
The consolidation push between the townships and trying to consolidate, throwing in permitting and stuff.
Well, right now, state law dictates how communities have to consolidate. And it has to be a majority of the vote by both communities to consolidate, I believe. That's it. Nobody can require a community to consolidate. They have to want to do it themselves. And that's how the state regulates it.
The requirements that the state is trying to push for consolidation of services. So we might share the same zoning administrative staff with another city or another township, but we still have separate legislative bodies. There's nothing that I have seen anyway so far at the state level that actually forced governmental units to merge. It's simply trying to force us to consolidate the way that we administer the services that we do not consolidate on policy.
Correct. Does that make sense?
So
Okay.
on public-private partnerships, what exactly do you mean by that?
The business community working with the local units of government to make development decisions. So number 2 is be driven by the private sector, let the market decide. 3, occur through strong public-private partnerships. We're all in this together. Or 4, be determined by the good old boys. And how do I become one?
The way it is.
Okay, going, still going? Going once, twice, and done. Interesting.
Voted for 4? Stand up.
We talked about this in the staff. Do we throw in those funny questions, the funny answers? Because you're going to have a smart aleck out there that's gonna do that. But that's okay. I did that to make it fun.
I think someone wants to be a good old boy.
There should be more coordinated planning efforts amongst local governments in Muskegon County. Do you strongly agree? All the way down to strongly disagree? Or is there planning? Coordinated planning? All right, going once, twice. Wow, very interesting. We had 3 people, I think, vote.
You may have a
Vote.
bias
No,
audience.
Huh?
You may have a bias audience. Why are they here?
show up.
What?
It's run by those that show up.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, we have done enough strategic planning in Muskegon County. It's time for some strategic doing. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or are you still trying to figure out if there's coordinated planning in Muskegon? All right, going, oh, look at, we got everybody, full participation. Good, I like that. More and more jokesters in the audience every time. All right, what is the biggest land use issue facing Muskegon County? Is it sprawl and overdevelopment? Development and redevelopment of the lakefront? And that can be on any lakefront. We have many, many lakes. Redevelopment of the downtowns, and keep in mind, we have more than one downtown. We have lots of downtowns within the county. Creating and maintaining a strong sense of community, or there are no land use issues. Build. Full participation in this one? Okay. Oh. One more. There we go. Yay. Very interesting.
I could make a comment.
Of course.
If sprawl and overdevelopment was truly addressed, it would solve 2 and 3. Because it would bring development back down to those 2 areas. If it was limited, because you still see houses built out in the middle.
Okay.
Nowhere.
Let's poll the audience on that one. Let's do an impromptu. Wait, let me freeze. Okay.
I think they
Would-
voted for one, Greg.
And this is basically a yes or no, or maybe we can do strongly agree to disagree.
We could do yes or no.
Yes or no. Let's do yes or no. If sprawl and overdevelopment were adequately addressed, is that, or were adequately addressed, would it solve 2 and 3, which is development and redevelopment of the lakefront and redevelopment of the city?
What, one, which is yes? and
Yes,
which is
urban
no?
sprawl.
What is one and what
Well-
is two?
Sprawl occurs wherever it is. All you gotta do is run
It's one yes and no two.
Would 1 and 2 be issues, would the issues of 1 and 2, or would 2 and 3, the issues of 2 and 3 be solved?
They're not gonna leave downtown just to do
Yeah.
What did you vote for?
We're getting it, we'll let you know.
No, for number
1 is yes.
You can't get anywhere unless we get our heads in.
Okay, you ready for me to freeze? You ready?
Hold on. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
I thought,
This is the question. If sprawl and overdevelopment were adequately addressed, would the issues of 2 and 3 be solved? Okay. Going once, twice, and, 63% disagree with you, Greg.
Yeah, yeah. That's good.
All right.
You guys don't get outside the city limits very often.
All right, let's go back. We'll go back. I did. Yes.
Honestly, I partially agree and I partially disagree. I think there is an extent to which it has an effect. But people make decisions about where they're gonna live based upon schools, based upon socioeconomic, based upon the perception of safety, based upon perception of ethnic, racial, religious issues in the community. No matter how much you try to plan for land use regulation, unless you flat out completely prohibit building outside of the city, you're gonna have a lot of people who will simply make the decision based upon any combination of those other factors that they will not live there.
It goes a lot beyond rate, live though,
Yeah.
too.
They'll just go
True,
somewhere else.
but if you want, there's all of those other factors that we have to address. Planning for development from a land use perspective only as one of those. It's an important piece.
Right, and that's why we have the 5 vision areas of the map. That's why we have the 5 vision areas. This is just one of them. So, for the sake of time, we are gonna have to move along here. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
You can see.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna do a group exercise now. And those of you who don't have one of the big charts, we want your opinion. This group, you guys don't have one, but your table is full, so if you can have somebody go over there and maybe get a piece of paper. I have a notepad in there, and somebody can work, so we'll make an impromptu one for you guys. But I'm gonna ask you to
Tell who we are.
fill in the table. And what we're gonna do is we're going to, once again, answer the questions based on what we know today and what we want Muskegon County to look like. We're gonna answer the what, the who, and the when. And where's that? My clicker's different than yours. So again, I'm gonna leave this slide up. This is the goal that we're trying to answer with the what, the who, and the when. So that's the goal we're looking at. And what we want to do is maybe be a little bit, try to be specific. Because when doing goals and implementation strategies, you want to kind of start as a funnel. We have our vision area, which is really, really kind of broad, land use and growth. And then we have our goal, which brings it down a little bit more narrow. Now our strategies that we're identifying need to be a little bit more specific. So we can, because once we finish this process, we need to identify a way to measure our success. That's what we want to do. So we want to have some things that are a little bit more specific. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to give you probably about 20 minutes, depending on how you do, in your groups at your tables to identify as many what, who, and when you can. Now, you can have, for the when, you can have a specific date and time, not time, but date or year, or you can have, if it's, some are ongoing, so you don't necessarily need to have, make it stop, like our countywide planning commission meetings. Those are successful, and we kind of want those to keep going, but if the group doesn't want, doesn't see value in that, then we do that, but just keep in mind, something can be ongoing. And if you have any questions, raise your hand. We have the Windsor Day staff here. All the planners, if you could raise your hand, the Windsor Day planners, or stand up. If you have any questions, we are here to help you answer those. And we're going to be kind of going around.
And getting more input, who we're going to ask our colleges and people to do some training for citizen involvement. And when? Now.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Yay.
Okay, who wants to go next?
John? Oh, you don't want to go next?
No.
Not
Okay. Let's go back.
They're going to steal
This table in the back corner over here.
They already did.
Mr. Fisher, I don't know reporting out. What's your number one?
Our number one was a continuation of one of the other ones for educational seminars and just education on what smart growth is in general, except we feel that to broaden that a little bit, we also need to educate the community members, not just the government and the realtors. We need to include everybody so that we know what we're going to make this goal, what the goal is, what the national
Don't push
so
any
we
buttons.
included the who for.
I told you not to touch it.
So Windsor Day is the
You
who.
always feel like you're swearing. Obviously, the local governments, area developers, but obviously we, to get the word out to community members and have them be a part of it, to incorporate them as well, and we want it now and to have it ongoing.
Okay, great, great. I like that one too. Okay, we're gonna have this table right here.
We had kind of a tie.
Okay, well, you can share both.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
fine.
We want to ensure environmental cleanup for contaminated land in the county, and the who would be local jurisdictions, DEQ, EPA, property owners, consultants, community pressure groups. Now, worst first. Now, we want to do it, and the worst first.
The worst contaminated sites first. Okay.
But our close second runner-up was initiatives for greater responsiveness of local governments to citizens' concerns and community involvement. We feel like we're, on the county level, the meetings are too early for everybody. There's just a dampening of democracy all around, not really wanting citizen input. That's our experience with stuff. And so we want more of that. And, I don't know how we're going to get it. We got to keep asking them. But also the thing is, on that one question where it said community coming together, I really think that has to happen too. I mean, we don't have enough community engagement here, and I'm so happy that you're having this and everybody's here. Because it's encouraging when people show up.
We have 62 people here tonight, so.
And of course, now and ongoing.
Now and ongoing. Isn't everything now or yesterday?
Yeah.
Well, we invited anybody and everybody who would come. As of 4 o'clock this afternoon, I had 43 people registered. So we invited all 172,000.
You invited 172,000.
That's the population of this weekend. Yes, everybody was invited.
A lot of people couldn't come.
Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't come, but that's who was invited. I don't think we'd be able to fill it.
We'd get a bigger room.
We'd get a bigger room. But all right, but who's next? Ken, your table?
That would be me.
Oh, Maria.
We had for what the coordinated planning, so we added also the implementation of the previous being updated map as well with master plans and having the local governments understand that you have a master plan, let's continue on with it and use what the map actually has already in it and make sure the implementation happens there. So we had local governments and then we had those ongoing with assistance from Windsor Dick and
Great, that's a good one too. That's a good one. We'll move to there. The table behind them.
Okay, to help decrease urban sprawl and increase workability or walkability, we said to live by and hire local with anchor institutions and employers. So, who would be the Muskegon area first, chamber, mayor of Muskegon, Muskegon now, Michigan, community and compass, and he said to start now.
Great, that's a good one too. Okay, and we'll go with this table right here. Probably.
Okay, we needed more time. We had a lot of whats and not a lot of who's or whens. So I'll give you a couple of those because we really didn't get very far as far as expanding those. A lot of things you've heard already.
out what our identity is, what do we really all have in common or want to be known as, and making part of the local community movement, council involved, and community.
Great, very good one. Very good. And this table back here.
Well, there's not enough time to prepare for a test.
I always make you work. Whenever you come to any of my meetings, I'm going to make you work. Usually. So.
I think we got very far, but I'd like to see the joint planning commissions move further. This much be gained from that. And just educational opportunities to educate the local community what planning's about. Most people don't understand what's about.
I agree with
I
you.
guess that's what it is.
Okay, wonderful. Great, that's very good. Very good. So that's our time. You did a great job.
I
Hey.
saw you have that northern regional unit that gets together and talks about issues in their area. Talk about
The North Central.
I think the same thing probably should occur in the Ravenna, I'm not out of the Ravenna Township, but that area too, because we have some of the same issues in the rural districts that Muskegon doesn't understand, and maybe we don't understand their issues, you know, we deal with just different issues.
Right.
I think sometimes we need to have sub-units to come together as a group.
Exactly. We, you know, in the first go-around of the map, we really struggled in identifying goals and objectives and implementation strategies because there is such a difference between the rural community and the urban community, and how do we have goals and objectives that really apply to both. So we even tossed around the idea of having two sets.
Otherwise the goal
One,
to get too general, and it's like.
right.
just
So, and that's kind of why we really embrace the smart growth principles, like I said, because each community can play a part and have a piece of that puzzle in the smart growth principles. And the county as a whole, when those puzzle pieces come together, can meet all of that and meet the needs of the whole county.
You know, I'm not smart enough about it yet, but I really do think planning commissions and zoning administrators and stuff like that, there's some lacking, especially in our area, for maybe the professionalism or knowledge base that we need sometimes. So I don't know. Maybe all that stuff is, maybe they go to a lot of meetings and things like that, but I don't think they do. And I think sometimes we're just working off the, you know, what we think is right.
Well, one thing we did through the Joint Planning Commission, the JPC, is when we were putting together all those definitions that I was talking about earlier, we met monthly with the zoning administrators, and most of our meeting was the zoning administrators networking. How do you handle, because we were going through the definitions and a situation would come up and they're like, hey, I'm dealing with this. How are you handling this in your community? And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So maybe more networking amongst zoning administrators across the county. So maybe we could do something like that.
Is that still occurring?
You know what? Once we started, we completed the definitions. No, they haven't met since. And maybe that's something we need to do, Kim, with that. But maybe we open it up
Well, I think it's something if the
more of
township,
the county.
I think if the 28 or 38 units knew that, they would send them there, whether they're full-time or part-time, if they bought into it and they were required to attend. Because I mean, I do think that's important. We may not agree on all the areas, but at least we're professional about it and look at the master plan in our area, make sure we can coordinate with that.
Okay. I think that's something that we need to add to the list of things that we need to do is the coordination of zoning administrators, networking. So, okay, yes, Dave.
I just want to add one comment to the discussion. That was a very good discussion, but I think one thing that we all tend to do is talk about the urban communities and we talk about the rural communities. And there is no real fine line between the two. The one that really brings the pain to the table, the arguments into the boardrooms, is the urbanizing areas. And it's that growth ring around the better part of the urban Muskegon Heights. It's that growth ring. The same thing is happening in Urbana. They just got a smaller growth ring going around Urbana. The same thing on Whitehall and Montague. Those are areas. It's the places that are under the pressure to change. And how big do we want those areas to be, and how do we want to let that happen? And if we can get that understanding on the paper where we're really looking, that's what the problem is.
I agree. Great, well, we're running out of time, we got 10 minutes here, so we're gonna move on.
Okay, we talked a lot about the need to retain existing buildings downtown, and